Have you ever wondered what it would take to spark a movement so powerful that it changes the very fabric of society? A movement that challenges laws, defies norms, and ultimately rewrites history? For millions of African Americans in the United States, life under the shadow of segregation was an everyday reality. It was a world where racial separation was the law, and those laws dictated nearly every aspect of life. From the schools children attended to the seats people were allowed to take on a bus. But how did this system of oppression take root? And more importantly, how did people rise up against it? To understand the origins of the civil rights movement, we have to travel back to the post-Civil War era, where a brief period of hope and progress for newly freed African Americans came crashing down. After the war, during Reconstruction, African Americans were promised a new life of equality, one where they could vote, own land, and participate in the nation's democratic process. Yet, by the late 1800s, those promises were broken. A series of state and local laws, known as Jim Crow, emerged, solidifying a brutal and rigid system of racial segregation. Jim Crow wasn't just a set of rules, it was a way of life. Under these laws, everything was divided: schools, hospitals, restaurants, even public transportation. African Americans were told where they could and couldn't go. But it wasn't just about physical separation. It was a deliberate attempt to dehumanize an entire population, to reinforce the notion that African Americans were somehow lesser, undeserving of basic rights. And nowhere was this more evident than in the fight for voting rights. Despite the 15th Amendment's promise of the right to vote, countless African Americans were effectively barred from exercising that right. States introduced poll taxes, literacy tests designed to be impossible to pass, and outright intimidation. The message was clear: your voice is not welcome here. They didn't just want to stop you from voting. They wanted to keep you in fear, to remind you of your place. But something happened in December of 1955 that would shift the course of history. In Montgomery, Alabama, a woman named Rosa Parks was riding the bus after a long day's work. The law required her to give up her seat to a white passenger, but she didn't. She sat there, defiant, in what seemed like a small act of rebellion.